It's truly a joy and an honor to welcome to our bima tonight a dear friend and cherished colleague, Rabbi Menachem Creditor. Menachem serves as a scholar in residence at UJA Federation of New York, where his voice, his teaching, and leadership help shape and inspire one of the largest Jewish communities in the world. He is a rabbi, a teacher, a writer, and a voice of moral clarity in the Jewish landscape. Over the years, he has served in congregational life, built meaningful community, and emerged as a thoughtful and courageous leader on issues of Jewish identity, Israel, and the sacred responsibility we carry for one another. He is also a prolific author and poet. I've been privileged to be in some of his wonderful books. Someone who has a rare gift for putting language to the spiritual and emotional terrain we so often struggle to name. Whether writing about love of Israel, the complexities of this moment, or the enduring power of Jewish peoplehood, Menachem brings depth, nuance, and an unwavering commitment to human dignity. And beyond all of that, I want to share something more personal. Menachem is someone I am proud to call not only a colleague, but a friend, as we've traveled parallel worlds for many years, and ours is a relationship that is grounded in shared commitments, honest conversation, a deep love for the Jewish people and for Israel, where we both were blessed to travel to together from some years back. He is the kind of colleague who challenges all of us to think more deeply, to feel more expansively, and to lead with both courage and compassion. We are so deeply grateful to the Bonnie Graf Scholar in Residence Fund, to Bonnie Graf, our program emerita, which makes weekends like this possible, helping to bring voices like Menachem's into our community and ensuring that we continue to learn and grow and be inspired together. In a time when our world and our community right here in San Diego can feel fractured and uncertain, voices like his matter more than we know. Voices that remind us who we are, what we stand for, and what it means to stay rooted in Torah while reaching toward a more just and compassionate future. Menachem, we are so grateful you are here with us tonight. Welcome to Beth, Israel, and welcome home.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I just want to begin by saying how overwhelmed I am to be with friends, to be with esteemed colleagues, and these inspiring voices. I have written melodies during my life, never imagining that anyone else would ever know them. And to hear them expressed with incredible soulfulness and skill and passion is a gift I didn't know I'd be receiving. It made the trip worthwhile, regardless of all the other amazing, beautiful things that this represents. I want to say a little bit about the Torah portion that we're in as a way of introducing what was going to already be complicated. The title for these remarks was advertised as Israel, Diaspora, and the Moral Future of the Jewish People. I'll try. This moment is so bearing and so very real that my heart is really simple right now. I want our sisters and brothers to not have to keep running to shelters. I want their homes to be safe. And I want the freedom that Jews have had to fight for throughout our entire multi-millennia history. I want that freedom to come without costing anyone else's life. This is an impossible moment to navigate, and so thank God for Torah. Not because it provides answers, but it gives us a vocabulary for thinking, for feeling. For those who are going to be part of the Torah study tomorrow morning, we'll look more closely at a phrase I'm just going to invoke now. The Hebrew phrase happens at the end of chapter 9 of the book of Leviticus. It is an esh zara, a strange fire. Now, we know because of the English vernacular that the notion of a strange fire is not the typical fire. There's something different about this, something noticeable about this, and often something objectionable about it. There's something not quite whatever, which is why it is also used in a transgressive way by those seeking to expand the boundaries of normative communities in ways we need to listen. Strange fire is actually a gift. We need all kinds of fire to stay warm, to stay alive. But in this week's Parsha, two children of the high priest, their names are Nadav and Avihu, they bring something called an Eish Zara, a strange fire. And for that, they are devoured by that very fire. It's very complicated. If you come tomorrow morning, we will not solve anything, but we'll talk about it a lot. But I want to use it as a way of sharing a vignette that maybe you're familiar with, I have become very familiar with. Every time there's a gathering in support of Israel, anywhere, even the March for Israel down Fifth Avenue in New York, which I grew up attending and now I'm part of helping run it, there's always a small but loud group of protesters that look Jewish. Now, they don't look like me, or maybe they look like me, but not all of us. If I wear a white shirt and black, people sometimes have a hard time distinguishing any theological or ideological difference. But they are often presenting language that sounds very Jewish, that there's nothing religiously significant. In fact, it is sinful that there is a secular Jewish state. They often come from a group called Neturei Karta, which means guardians of the city. And they're based in a theology which Judaism internalized over 2,000 years of wandering, exile, and therefore powerlessness, which was there is only one way for us to regain a home, only one source for that decision, and it isn't you and me. Only God can decide. And so the Jewish posture was to wait for millennia, not because that's what the Torah says. The Torah doesn't say that. And not because the prophets say that. What the prophets say is, you'd better be worthy of this nachala, this inheritance, because only through being worthy on the land do you get to keep it. In fact, again, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, there's nothing intrinsically holy about the land of Israel. It is the testing ground of whether or not we will be holy. We finally have the opportunity. Will we live up to it? If not, says the book of Deuteronomy, all the prophets and our moral sensibilities, what are we doing with this freedom we had to fight for? I want to use one more theological framework and then tell a joke, because something's going to have to lighten the tone. It's a Jewish joke, so don't get your hopes up. Right? It's one of those that if you listen closely, it's not a joke at all. It's the stuff that I memorized as a child when my father wouldn't leave shul. It's like one of the books on the side that I unfortunately really memorized well. I'll tell the joke first. There's a guy, we'll call him Chaim. Anyone here named Chaim? It's not about you, okay? There's a guy named Chaim and he's going to retire and his friends are worried about him. Why? Because when you retire, you can get into trouble. You used to know what you were supposed to do with your time, and now, So they decide as a village, as a town, to give Chaim a job. They get a chair and they put it on the east side of town. And they say, Chaim, your job is to sit in that chair and wait. Because on the east side of town, you will see the Messiah who comes from the east first. So your job is to sit here and wait and tell us when you see him. So he brown bags it. He goes and he sits in his chair that very first day. And at the end of the day, he goes to the city council and resigns. And they say, Chaim, why? And he looked them in the eyes and said, this is exhausting. Right? A joke that's not a joke? Waiting for the Messiah has been exhausting for the Jewish people. And what is interesting about the Neturei Karta protesters that I was talking about before, they actually are channeling the posture that lasted within at least Ashkenazi Judaism for 2,000 years. And they said, you don't hasten the coming of the Messiah. You don't create a secular Jewish state. Because after all, the heroes that were the first Zionists were anti-religious. They were not doing this in the name of traditional Judaism. They heard that joke. They saw people waiting for the Messiah, and they said, to hell with that. We've waited long enough, God. It's our turn to make sure that that covenant is restored. Not a covenant that depends on divine intervention, but one that relies upon human agency. Said differently, Rabbi Yitz Greenberg, one of the greatest living teachers of the Jewish world today and of any spiritual discipline, has said the primary mandate for a Jew, and he means for a human being too, but he's speaking specifically to the Jews. He gave this talk in 2000 to the Jewish Federations of North America in a talk that he got in a lot of trouble for, but thank God he gave it because it got all of us thinking. He said the first mandate is choose life. We know this one. And he says the world has not handed Jews life through our history. And so in order to achieve that primary mandate, we must actively acquire enough power so that we can choose life. It's not that we like power, it's that we need it in order to be alive. Sounds familiar today. But so too does his condition, which comes third. If the primary mandate is choose life, and if, in order to choose life, a Jew must have some power, then the question is, what do we do with the power that we wish we didn't need? Which is why, for me, my definition of Zionism has been the ethical use of power we wish we didn't need. Moral thinking demands that the use of power never be casual. But, as Rabbi Greenberg said in that original talk, for a Jew to give up power in this world is blasphemy. In fact, that phrase, strange fire, according to who we are now, Am Chofshi, Be'artzenu, a free people in our land, a complicated, self-contradictory, troubled, still vulnerable, sometimes too powerful, sometimes too human, but free in our own land. Now the question is, what do we do with that? A great sage whose last name used to be Leibowitz, but then became Lee. Anyone know who I'm talking about? Thank you. Right? Stan Lee wrote into the Spider-Man narrative the ultimate Jewish message: with great power comes great responsibility. We wish we didn't need that power. We do. But it doesn't mean we should in any way shrink from it. Because after all, one of the things I was going to talk about, and in the talk back I hope that we'll expand on this, there is an interesting question, not since October 7th, but since 1948. It's been asked by every Zionist thinker, sometimes quietly and sometimes out loud, including Nadine Epstein just very recently, a journalist who wrote a question, which is, the word Zionism has become so complicated in public discourse, so much baggage in, pardon me saying it this way, their eyes. Maybe we need another word. After all, she says, and so many Zionist thinkers say this too, Zionism was about establishing a Jewish homeland, reclaiming the nation state that we were. We did that. We're not done doing that, but we did that. So did the Zionist project succeed and therefore end, and now we're doing something else? It's a fascinating question. Also, the word diaspora to describe global Jewry is a fascinating thing. We don't use the word exile, do we? Because even though it's expensive, and even though there are only so many flights flying now, you and I could choose to go, which means it's not exile. No one told me I can't go. Our family might not be comfortable with every variety of Jew we are. That's part of the fight of being a family. It's a big fight, but it's part of being a family, to be seen. How many of us over Passover had that internal conflict, not on a national level, but on a personal level? Am I seen in the context of my family for being fully who I am? Great question. One of the 4 questions now. So I want to ask the question that I'm sort of leading toward, which is the strange fire these days? Is the strange fire the existence of a state? I don't think we would say that. there are some who would, is the strange fire the use of the word Zionism when it was about building the project that now has a body? And if it was about that, or is about that, and continues to be about that, what do we represent? Are we supposed to, little by little, find our way home, which is the language we use to describe homeland? Or is this another center? Are we another vital center of our people, as has been true in history too? I will share, because of my work within the Federation world, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this room having traveled, well, many times, but at least I know some of us have been there multiple times since the 7th. One of the most interesting shifts amidst the pain, amidst the redefinition, amidst the ongoing vulnerability, which power does not dispel. You could be very powerful and very vulnerable. We've learned that. Is the kind of gratitude that especially, I went 2 weeks after the 7th with a group of rabbis, gratitude that we showed up. I've been to Israel many, many times. I don't think I've ever been thanked for going by Israelis. Something changed in this time. Not for everyone. We never feel one way. But there's an interesting thing that we have only begun to contemplate, which is, what did the founding of Israel do to Judaism itself? The founding of the state changed the way Jews felt. I was a rabbi in Berkeley, California for 11 years. We could talk a lot about that. Anyone from Berkeley? All right, so let's find each other. And I found over and over a disconnect of understanding which collapsed with the 7th, because the vulnerability of Jews all over the world was clearly impacted by what happened on the 7th, which means there's no there is everywhere. But the positive of that is true too. And I want to end with a positive for now, and with the talk back, I'm sure we'll have a roller coaster of a conversation. I grew up wearing a kippah all the time. But even observant Jews older than me did not. Why? When did Jews in America start wearing a kippah in public? Or a chai necklace? Or a Star of David? Anyone know? Right? Some of us remember. Some of us know. Some of us have studied the history. 1967, what does that mean? We were suddenly brave enough, courageous enough, and proud enough to not only be Jewish behind closed doors. That wasn't the case before. The history of the Jewish people, including the birth of political Zionism, is all about trying to figure out how to address what Herzl said was the Jewish problem. In his language, the world has a problem, the Jews. The Jews have a problem, the world. So give us a place to go. What's really powerful is we also went and we also stayed. So I would offer us this question again. What's a strange fire these days? What feels out of the ordinary? If I tell you things are going to get better, you're going to tell me that sounds like a strange fire a little bit. Because things are too complicated to have that kind of clarity. But we just sang our hearts out, didn't we? And hundreds of people who are joining us, not in the room, but in here, in this, whatever this in-between space is. We are broadcasting our pride and our prayer and our presence. We are in the public sphere. We are fighting back in a way the Jews did not. Something has changed. I'm going to end with a song. I grew up singing this song. I went to a yeshiva. And whenever something bad happened, which felt like a lot, we would sing this song. It comes from Maimonides, who, I don't know if he sang it, but we sing his words. And it goes like this. Ani ma'amin, I believe. Be'emunah shelema, with full faith. Beviat HaMashiach, in the coming of the Messiah. Ani ma'amin. And every good yeshiva song, you only sing the first half so you can sing the second. Ve'af al pi she'yitmamea im kol zeh achakelo. Though he may tarry, I will wait for him. Achakelo b'chol yom she'yavo, b'chol yom she'yavo. I'll wait for him every day. The big blessing that we now have as a Jewish people, however fraught this moment is that when you speak to Israeli strategists right now, the first thing they'll talk about is not bombs and cluster warheads and shelters, although they are running for them just like everyone else. They are talking about the next election, which means despite it all, we're not waiting anymore. We're not waiting for someone to tell us that it's okay to be who we are in the world. The category of strange fire is another way of looking at this. Jewish powerlessness has become a strange fire. What a gift to think about it that way. That Jewish pride and belonging, the norm that we know should be ours, full human dignity, has also in no way lessened our commitment to our neighbors. We are showing up as everything our ancestors could only have dreamt we would be. It's a fraught moment. It's hard. But isn't it unbelievable to talk about it like this? As free Jews, proud Jews, imaginative, creative, complicated, funny people. So I wish us a Shabbat Shalom not because it's going to be calm. I haven't looked at my phone in about an hour. That's a gift too. Shabbat can be that gift. But the reason why I'm aching to look is because I care about my family and I need to know they're okay. May we never be less concerned. But may we also never expect less than our family being okay. May we show up to make sure that that is how things will be, because that's the inheritance we've been given too. Strange fire was how it started, but it burns bright within us now. Shabbat Shalom.